You can start now.
Mhm.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone that's following on Facebook. I mean, not Facebook, I'm sorry, on YouTube Live, the live stream. We do have a quorum, so we'll begin, call the meeting to order here in just a second.
Okay. Good evening, board members. Can you hear me? Hello? Hello? Dan, are board members, are you able to hear? Hello? Can you hear?
Uh, Tommy, Gary, can you hear? Oh, okay, Gary's given the thumbs up, so they can hear me, so we'll just have to talk loud.
Shoshana, can you hear me? Don't hear his finger. Hello? What's this one?
Huh?
Hello? No?
Well, I guess I can do most of the talking. If you can call the meeting to order, because your computer's not, microphone
Okay.
isn't working.
You can interpret for me.
Yeah.
On the board members, we do have a quorum. I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order.
Chris, can you hear me now?
Yes, Tommy, I can hear you.
Mic check. Can you guys hear me? This is Mark.
Yes, Mark.
Okay, thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh,
I can hear you.
Okay, go ahead.
Calling the meeting to order. Tanya, call the roll, please.
Betsy Allen,
Here.
Tommy McCabe,
Here.
Gary Grandson,
Present.
Ramona Elwood, Mark Little,
I'm here.
Madam Board President, there is a quorum, you may proceed with the meeting.
Thank you. We don't have call to the public.
We haven't been because of the distance learning. The distance meetings.
Well, no one has anything. All right, adoption of the agenda. We have a call to the public, roll call, superintendent report, acknowledgement and recognition, which you have elementary school, accelerated, middle school, high school, and consent agenda. You have all those lists of items under consent. Next is no old business, new business. You have action, discussion, possible action to approve scenario 3, all students, distant learning, so forth. And then you have 6.2, presentation and possible action to approve stipend to 3 people. And then 6.3, also action item relating to cell phone use by certain administrators. And then 7.0 is executive session for personnel, if we need to go into. You have 8.1 for bus driver, 8.2, that's a teacher, 8.3 is a elementary principal. And closing items, 9.1 would be adjournment. That's the agenda for tonight. I would need a motion and a second to authorize the agenda. Can you hear me?
I'll go ahead and motion to approve the agenda as read.
Okay, there's a motion by Jaime to go ahead and approve the agenda as read. Is there a second?
Madam Chair, I'd like to go ahead and second that motion.
Mark, go ahead and second the motion. Any questions? None? All those in favor say
Aye.
Aye.
This is Board Member Little. I vote yes.
okay. Aye. 4 in favor, 0 opposed. Now we have an agenda. Go on to superintendent's report.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, everybody that's listening on YouTube. We have somewhat of a short report. November is a very short month and there was a week off. But our enrollment, as you can see, is down a little bit. We're at 994. A lot of that is the 10-day drop. Students that are not checking in daily, not participating, because under the governor's orders and under Department of Education, we still, all attendance rules are still enforced. So even though we're distance learning, students still need to check in some format each day so we can mark them as present and participating. Even those who are doing the packets and the who aren't, because students who are doing the Google or Zoom meetings, the live meetings, they can take attendance right there as the students participate. It's those that are not able to get online that we call or text or something each day just to verify their attendance. And this is something that's happening in districts all over the state. Enrollment is dropping in all schools as that are in the distance learning model. Human resources update. We have the transportation director is finalized. It's not on this agenda because there's a couple things we still have to do with that one, but I was talking to board president Allen about possibly a special meeting, maybe not next week, but the week after, to approve that position. We have an activities director that was selected, but that person has no Arizona certification. So they're currently, I believe, working on that, but we won't recommend them until they have certification and fingerprint clearance. And then for security director, we have interviewed one individual before the Thanksgiving break. We have another individual that we're interviewing tomorrow, I believe, tomorrow afternoon. So that's another of those positions that we would have on that special meeting. We're still looking for substitute teachers. Our substitute teacher pool is very small this year. A lot of the substitutes that we've had are preferring not to come in. For COVID reasons, they just prefer not to come in. We do have several very good substitute teachers who are in long-term positions right now covering, and they're coming in every day and doing a great job. But we've just, covering the day-to-day absences has been difficult because we have a limited supply of substitute teachers. We do have a teacher on the agenda later under personnel. We also have the applicant for the elementary principal on the agenda later this evening. So if approved, those positions would be full. We still do need the exceptional student services, which is special education. And we do need middle school art and an instructional coach at the middle school. And to date, there have been no applicants for those positions. We still need a waste management technician. That's the new position that was created under the maintenance department. We hired someone, they declined the position. And so we're advertising and interviewing, but as of yet, we don't have a person selected. So that's the human resources update. Most of the job fairs, if you're familiar in the past, we've actually traveled and gone to different places, set up tables, handed out information. Most all of those have been changed to some type of online environment now. They're due to COVID, so we won't probably be doing any traveling for recruiting. This year, Frontline is doing great. Our advertisements and everything through Frontline are getting a lot of traffic, I guess. We're getting a lot of hits, and that's how we were able to fill all the positions that we have filled up to this point is coming in through the Frontline system, so that is good. Facilities, we're still doing the housing renovations. I was going to go out and take some pictures and put them in here, but yesterday and today was absolutely freezing, so I wasn't outside much. Many decks the front decks are completed, a couple driveway expansions, and we've got several houses right now, individual houses and duplex units that have new windows, new siding. They're being painted outside and then of course renovated inside. So that project is still very much going through all of this. And then the trash collection and the recycling is going well. I know the board had asked for some financial information on that, and we're working on that. We'll get that to you. There's two pieces. The first piece is buying all of the stuff that we bought, the trash truck and all the trash bins and the carts and everything. Those are one-time purchases, most under capital that will take a while to recoup, but the actual monthly cost is doing very well. So we'll send those numbers out once we finish compiling all of that. Transportation department, our buses are still going out twice a week and doing the meal delivery along the bus routes on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then they've also been going out with the Wi-Fi and parking. But with the cold weather, we're not getting a lot of drive up right now at the buses or on campus here. It's just too cold to sit outside for any length of time. And then food service, also we're doing, this actually comes up in my presentation later on the third quarter options for schools. But food service, we still have that flexibility. It's been extended for the summer feeding program. So we're able to do 7 days worth of breakfast and 7 days worth of lunch for any child age 18 or under. They don't have to be enrolled with Pinon School District. And we send the buses out on Tuesdays and Thursdays to run the routes. And then we also have the drive up, which is by the snack shack and the football field behind the high school. So they can do a drive through and come through and pick up food there as well for the transportation. Just one other update, I don't have it on here. The US Congress has passed, the Senate and the House both passed the impact aid relief bill. It was unanimous consent. No one objected in the House or the Senate. So it's currently on President Trump's desk waiting for his signature. He has till December 5th, I believe it is, to either sign it or veto it. If he doesn't veto it by December 5th, then it becomes law. And what that does is it allows us to use our counts from last year for impact aid, which is good for two reasons. One, our count was much higher last year, so that will result in more funding through impact aid, but it also eliminates that requirement that we do the source check documents and get signatures on everything, which is very difficult with the shutdown and everything that's going on right now to get all of those signatures. So hopefully that gets signed by December 5th and goes into law, because that will make our impact aid application much easier. And that is still due at the end of January. So that is kind of the business office update. And then just a reminder that the ASBA, the annual conference, actually I have 2 through 4, but it's actually 3 and 4. It's Tuesday and, no, I'm sorry. Thursday and Friday of this week. So it's tomorrow and Friday. It's online through Zoom webinar. And then also just a reminder that the NISA, National Indian Impacted Schools Association, they have canceled their conference for this year. That's normally mid-December in Las Vegas, but because of COVID, they have canceled for this year. And then I just attached some newsletters. There was one other document that I attached. Arizona Department of Education sent this out. It's kind of interesting. I'm not going to go through the whole thing because it's many slides long, but it's just who all in the state of Arizona has jurisdiction over schools. So as you click through, it talks about federal and then state and tribal entities and kind of what they do and what pieces they play in Arizona public schools, public education. So I've included that. It's under the public content. So anyone that has access, any public that has access to the board agenda can also pull this down and take a look at it. So that is the end of my report. A lot of the COVID related stuff, all of that is actually later in item 6.1. So that I didn't include that here.
Okay, thank you, Superintendent. Board members, do you have any questions?
Question, this board member McCabe. I just wanted to know how the CTE program is going at the high school and how the net teaching is going on at all 3 schools.
Okay,
That's
well, we can provide an update on that at the next meeting, or I can send something out to you. It is happening. CTE instruction is happening, and so is the Dene Studies instruction is happening. As far as specifics, we can put something together and send it out to you, or include it on that. If we have a special meeting, we can do an update there.
Okay.
Okay, if none, we'll go on to the acknowledgement and recognition. Elementary school, student of the month.
Madam President, members of the board, actually this month, the elementary has done it differently than they have in the past. So instead of 1 student for the entire school, to recognize more students, they have actually asked each teacher to recognize a student from their class. So if you're following along on the screen, or if you're in board docs, you can see the very long list of students here by grade. So each classroom has a student of the month. And I will just go down and read them quickly, and hopefully I get the names somewhat correct. So we do have this year, we have 3 preschool classrooms this year. And so we have Kayla Yanni, Jasmine Tom, and Delilah Bly in our 3 preschool classrooms. And then we also have 3 kindergarten classrooms this school year. And so we have Martin Sosi, Isaac Menigotes, and Hannah Lee. And then we do have 4 first grade classrooms. So we have Zoe Elfie, Zane Sosi, Tristan Charlie, and Joshua James. And then we do have 4 second grade classrooms. So we have Winona Begay, Shania Claw, Rihanna Burbank, and LaShawn Willie. Then in 3rd grade, we do have 4 classes for 3rd grade also this year. We have Isaac DeJoly, Isaac Dugai, Haley Littleman, and Dominic Nez. We do have 4 for 4th grade as well. So we have Trenton Edgewater, Olivia Lewis, Megan Shorty, and Conrad Hustine. And then we do have 4 classes also at 5th grade, and we have McAllister Tohi, Kaylin Jimmy, Jake Kiani, and Bradley Honey. Then nominated by other staff. So these were students who were nominated outside of their regular classroom. We have Warren Johnson, Ray Abahi, and Jamero Johns. And then from specials, which are exploratory classes, so that would be PE, and the computer classes, we have Rylan Cascoli, Isaac Menigotes, and oh, whoops, I'm sorry. I missed there. Jara Begay. And then from our Navajo language and culture classes, they nominated 1 from each grade level. So we have Isaac Menigotes again. I believe he's on here 3 times, so congratulations to him. Linnea Johnson, Colin Johnson, Owen Yazzie, Conrad Hustine, and Fernandria Jones. So I wish to congratulate all of those students and thank the staff at the elementary for expanding recognition and coming up with, so instead of just 1 student per month, now we have a student per class per month. So congratulations to them. And just on the background here, taking the board's advice to acknowledge and motivate more students in our PBIS program, PES has revised the student of the month from only 1 student per school to 1 student per class. We will continue this format for the rest of the year. Each student nominated will receive a special certificate to be recognized with the Eagle Express, and then also receive board recognition now. So congratulations to all of these students.
Congratulations. Any questions on the first one, elementary? Go on to the accelerated middle school.
Again, what the middle school has done here in this agenda item, if you can see it on the screen, is they had not been submitting names up to this point. So what they're doing is they've gone back to August. So they're still doing a student of the month, a parent of the month, and an employee of the month, which is what we had done in the past. So this list actually has the August through December. So let me see if I can make this bigger. Okay. So for students of the month for Pinion Accelerated Middle School, these students have checked in for attendance, consistently excelled in classes, and had no behavior issues, and went above and beyond on their assignments. So for August, for 6th grade, we have Braylon Gray Eyes. For 7th grade, we have Layla Chi. And for 8th grade, we have Chanel Begay. And then in September for 6th grade, we have Tyler Yazzie. 7th grade, Monty Williams. And Kara Benali for 8th grade. And then October, we have Kiana Pete, who's a 6th grade student. Trayvon Brown is 7th grade student, and Justin Francis, who's an 8th grade student. November, Antoine Clement, who's a 6th grade student. Lucas James, who is in 7th grade. And Alexis Francis, who's in 8th grade. And then for December, we have Isaiah Silas, who's 6th grade, Nathan James in 7th grade, and Xavier Manygoats in 8th grade. So congratulations to those students, and keep up the good work as we go into second semester. And then Pinion Accelerated Middle School would also like to recognize the following parents or guardians for their involvement this first quarter. These parents have consistently followed up with teachers about their child's grades, attended meetings with teachers, made sure their child was checking in every day, and some have attended online classes with their child. And that is something that we do have parents doing as they're signing in on the Zoom or Google Meets the live session. Sometimes you'll have parents sitting in and watching the lesson and taking part as well. So for August, we had Larisha James, and September, Valencia Francis. October, Marilyn Manybeads, and November, Caroline Laughing, and in December, Jolene Black. So congratulations, parents and guardians. Thank you for your participation. I know it has not been easy this first go round with students being home all day and keeping up with all of their work. So we definitely appreciate you parents. And then we would like to recognize the following Pinion Accelerated Middle School employees for their consistent diligence to their job duties and for extra support with the school initiatives. So in August, it's Kamishi Yazzie, who's the receptionist. She's kind of the frontline person handling phone calls and parent contacts. And then in September, we have Shannon Yazzie, who's a custodian. October, we have Gisanlo Caldera, who's an 8th grade language arts teacher, and he's new this year in the district. For November, we had J.R. Cipriano, who's a 7th grade math teacher, and he's also new this year. And then December, we had Karen Aragonis, who's a 6th grade math teacher and new as well this year. So congratulations to middle school staff. Thank you for stepping up and being part of our challenges of distance learning for first semester of this year.
Okay, well, thank you. Next would be the elementary.
Madam Chair,
No, next one is actually CTE. Yes, Mark?
Madam Chair, I have a question, or just a comment. I know the building principals used to do the recognition presentations. Are you requiring, Mr. Osgood, are you requiring them to attend the board meetings like before?
Usually they're watching on the YouTube live feed. They haven't been on the Zoom sessions, but if the board wants them actually in the Zoom session, they can be.
Okay. I'm just saying in case, one of the board members had a question for one of the building principals.
Okay, starting in January, we can have them actually be a Zoom participant.
Okay, and then one final question in regards to the Zoom information. Thank you for sending that information to me. But I noticed when I looked at the agenda, it didn't have the Google Meets or the phone number on there. I know at one time I did ask if we can, post that on the agenda for those individuals that don't have the access to internet. They can just call in. So.
Okay, yeah, it is on the, if you go to the website, the link for the live meeting is there and you can just click it and join the meeting, but I understand what you mean if you don't have the YouTube access.
Yeah, if they don't have access to the internet, then they can call in using their cell phone or something. So thank you, Chris.
Yeah, we can do that for the next meeting.
Okay, do we have any from the high school?
We have CTE, discussion and acknowledgement opinion on high school CTE student of the month. So this was submitted by Adelaide McLaughlin, who's our CTE director. The teacher who nominated this student is Sergeant Michael Jones, who's part of our JROTC program, and he nominated, I'm probably going to say this wrong, Nagazu Begay, who's a 9th grade student. He's been one of the most consistent students in JROTC and career exploration. He is active online in the Google Classroom and in the third-party learning management system we use for teaching classes, such as the ICEV and Cadet Portfolio. So those are 2 programs that JROTC specifically uses. He consistently shares his opinions and ideas to improve learning experience for all students. His input has done a lot to improve the way we deliver content and communications with students. We appreciate his work ethic and his willingness to be a leader among his peers. So congratulations to our high school student of the month, CTE, JROTC student of the month. And I've been in a couple of the JROTC classes meetings and met with them before, and they use Google Classroom platform, and it's a very interesting meeting. So I mean that's good how they do that. So
Okay. Any questions from board? If not,
Chris, real quick. I know in order to post student photos like on the website or for public viewing, we have to get parental consent. Is there a way that we can maybe post these, if not the photos, maybe the names? It'd be nice to do the photos too, but we need to get parental consent on our school's website to acknowledge their recognition.
We can actually, I believe the consent form is in the enrollment packet, so we would just have to be sure that the parent didn't decline, but we can follow this list of students, and if they all have the consent form, then we could get pictures and post them.
Awesome. Okay.
I just want to say thank you to all the teachers in each building. And then thank you to any of the students and parents that may be listening. I know this is a new time for all of us, and just keep up the good work and just keep chipping away at it. Thank you again.
Exactly, and I want to just mirror what Board Member McCabe said. Thank you to the parents, grandparents, guardians, and then also congratulations to those students who are recognized, and then also thank you to those students for their continued effort in pursuing their education with Pinyon School District. Although we are in some troubling times right now, it does get a little difficult. I know sometimes, you may lose internet service and you may get distracted at home, but you've gone this far. We're halfway through the year. We just have a few more months. Then we'll be, in the month of May. So, and in the news, they're saying that there's the vaccine that's going to be coming out soon. So just hang in there, and thank you to all of our staff Thank you for your dedication and your time to the district.
Thank you. Also say thank you. In unusual time with this COVID going on, I guess it'll reach its peak and then it'll come back down. Hopefully there'll be vaccines soon. Okay, anybody else? No comment? Moving on to consent agenda.
Just a reminder, there's no discussion on the consent agenda, but if there was something a board member wanted to discuss, it could be pulled and moved down to new business.
Okay, so I would need a motion and second to approve the consent agenda. I'm sure all of you already reviewed the administrative section of it. We have approval of board minutes from November 4 and 17. Approval of consent agenda. That one we sent.
That should have actually been moved. That should actually be down at the bottom. It jumped up in the.
Okay. Approval of vouchers signed in between board meetings. Approval of consolidated report from July 1 to November 2020. Approve the 2019-2020 school level annual financial report. Approval to dispose of the listed items from technology and transportation. Approval for Pinon Unified School District Office to open bid process for annual single audit services for fiscal year 2021. Possible action to approve the off-contract work for winter break 2020. And then we have possible action to approve the hire of the following PAMS National Honor Society co-sponsors for school year 2020 and 21 with $750 stipend each, prorated. That's prorated. Carly Holiday, Pam's 8th grade math teacher. Dr. How do you say, Johanzo?
Johanzo Caldera.
And that's Pam's 8th grade teacher, ELA teacher. Oh, we have another list. Approval to approve the hire of Pinon High School leadership team member at Pinon High School for second semester of school year 2020-2021. Mr. Burdock James, CTE teacher in construction. There a motion to go ahead and approve the consent agenda?
Madam Chair, this is Board Member Little. I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda item 4.1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10.
Okay. There's a motion to approve the items named that are on.
I'll go ahead and second.
There's a second?
Yeah, Board Member McCabe, second.
Okay.
Madam Chair, real quick, just a quick question. Chris, I can ask a question, right, on the consent agenda?
Well, yes, if it's a quick question, we can have
Yeah, it's a
discussion.
quick question. I just want to know how do they or who makes the consideration as to what goes on the consent agenda? Because I think like a couple of these that I've seen before, I don't mean to be rude, but I'm thinking they put them on the consent agenda to avoid discussion. And that's what I want to know is how is it considered, and what makes the determination for it to be on the consent agenda? For instance, the last two are like personnel issues that should have been under personnel.
Usually just anything that is considered routine is just placed under, generally class, sponsors and those kind of things, because it's not new hire, it's just internal is routine. We have had those on the consent agenda before. If the board
They've
wants.
also been under personnel as well.
Mhm.
Okay, that was just my question. I just think that some of these are under consent to avoid discussion. So, okay, that's it.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. All those in favor to approve the consent agenda, say aye.
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 This is board member Little. I vote yes.
Ramona. Tommy,
Okay,
yeah,
four in favor, 0 opposed. Motion is carried. Moving to new business.
that was all the consent agenda, right?
Mhm.
Okay. I didn't check
Okay.
everything off. Okay.
Moving to new business, 6.1, discussion and possible action to approve scenario 3. All students distant learning on the ADE roadmap for reopening schools for third quarter and the cancellation of the middle school and high school athletic seasons for school year 2020 and 2021. Mr. Oscar, can you highlight that?
Madam President, members of the board, people in the audience, on my screen share here, I have an updated presentation. This wasn't included on the board agenda because it was actually getting updated today. The governor had a press conference and there were some other things going on today as well. So I actually finished this right before the board meeting started. This was from an AIA guidance document. I just left it on here because I think it's important that we remember, as long as there is active community spread, which means that new cases are still increasing, we must all be stewards of maintaining a healthy community by limiting the spread of the disease. So, and I'll preface all of this by saying, I know having students on campus in the classrooms with the teachers is the best thing to do academically. There's really no dispute or doubt from anyone that having kids in classrooms on campus is best for instruction, best academically, but we're really looking right now at the health and safety issue more even than academics. Superintendent Hoffman from Arizona and the ADE guidance document, that has, just reminding you about that, it was released on June 1st. And it is still in effect. It is in effect till the end of this school year, at the end of May. There haven't been any revisions to it at this point. There are 4 different scenarios that the school district could choose from. One is all students start the school year or have students attending school in person. The second is some students are in person while others are distance learning, and that's the idea of the hybrid model. So parents could select which they want to do. Number 3 is what we have been doing first and second quarter, and that is all students are using distance learning from the start of the school year with an option to return when appropriate. And then option 4 is what several districts down south in the valley, or even in southern Navajo County, have been doing is they have some in-person and then COVID cases go up, so they switch back to distance learning. If you've been following the Arizona news out of Phoenix, a lot of districts right now down south are switching back to distance learning only. They were in the classrooms, but now they're, because of the rise in cases, they're pulling back and going back to distance learning. So the governor's executive order, again, that really has not changed. Basically, we are to submit a plan, which we've done. We submitted a plan for first quarter. There were a few limited revisions to that for second quarter once the board approved. And then, depending on the board's action tonight, we will revise it again for third quarter and resubmit it if necessary. But we do need to at least do quarterly updates to our plan. Some districts, because they keep switching back and forth, have been doing monthly updates, but because we've been fairly consistent in what we're doing, we've just kept it as a quarterly update that we submit. I showed you this before, but just that idea of community spread, which is happening right now. Each of the red dots is a COVID positive person, and this chart, this is the first COVID positive person who brings it home. They spread it to family members. The small dot here is a child. They bring it to school. They infect some others and the teacher, and pretty soon you can see how all the dots start turning red and interconnect. So this basically would be a graphic of what the school district would look like, and then this would be more of a graphic. I know that's hard to see on the screen. All of these little structures here are homes, and this is how it spreads from the school back out to the home. So that's the idea of community spread. Navajo Nation has said that basically right now on Navajo Nation there is uncontrolled community spread. And that is basically what has happened also in Arizona, New Mexico, Utah, and most states right now have uncontrolled community spread. So on Tuesday, this past Tuesday, we, all the superintendents for public schools, all the directors of BIE schools, charter schools, basically anybody part of education on Navajo Nation, we have a weekly meeting every Tuesday. This past Tuesday, President Nez joined us on that Zoom meeting, and he indicated that it was likely that the shelter in place and curfew orders will extend beyond the end of this week. If you remember, the shelter in place was supposed to end, this is the third week, so it was supposed to end this weekend. He had indicated that is probably going to continue because of just the increased spread that we have right now. I've been checking today. I haven't seen anything official documents, but that's what he indicated on Tuesday. During that meeting, he also indicated that the preferred instructional model on Navajo Nation for second semester would likely remain distance learning, keeping students out of schools to the extent possible. And Doty was saying they're looking at the idea of targeted services to like special education students and some of those that really need on-site services, but it would be very targeted and selected of who may be able to come in. This morning, I had a meeting with Navajo County. We have a weekly meeting with Navajo County Department of Health, all the superintendents. And what they were indicating this morning is that there is evidence in the southern part of the county, because those schools have reopened for students to be in the classroom. They have evidence of student-to-student transmission, so students basically are infecting each other. There's also evidence of student-to-staff transmission, where students are coming to school and also infecting staff members. And then there's also evidence in some of the districts down south that COVID is actually spreading between schools due to family and student contact. So what they were saying there is, say, you know, little Johnny is a middle school student. He comes to school. He gets COVID infection from one of his friends at the middle school. He goes home. He has an elementary sister and a high school brother, and he infects them, and then they go back to school and take it and start infecting in the other schools. So that goes back to that idea of community spread. I know down in the valley, I have a couple teacher friends that work down there, and they are home now with COVID, and they've got it from students. I mean, they got it from being there at school. So that idea that early on, there was an idea that, you know, children weren't going to get it, or if they did, it wasn't really going to be a big deal. But there's evidence now to show that students are transmitting COVID to each other and to the staff. So that's an important consideration. And this is the important thing too to remember is this is with distancing and hand sanitizers and the mask mandates and everything that are in place in the schools. It's still being transmitted. And I know I mean, we don't have students on campus right now, but I know in the Pinion community, 3 families that have just since, well, this week, the whole families have tested positive. Someone brought it into the home, and now the whole home, children, parents, everybody currently have tested positive. So the spread is still out there. And then this afternoon, I don't know if any of you had an opportunity to watch, it was on TV and was being live streamed on the internet, but the governor was holding a press conference today. There's really no new restrictions or anything that are going into place right now, but he did indicate he's going to issue an executive order to ensure that every Arizona resident can get the COVID vaccine free of charge. So it wouldn't be going through your insurance, or if you didn't have insurance, there would be no cost to you, that it would be a free of charge vaccination. He also indicated today that he intends, as Arizona puts out the vaccine, that he intends to prioritize teachers and education staff as in that first round to receive the vaccine, because teachers are considered essential. Well, everybody in education is considered essential workers, but teachers are considered essential to reopening schools safely. And obviously the push is to get schools reopened. Dr. Christ, if you're familiar with her, she heads the Arizona Department of Health and Services. And they were indicating that Arizona could actually have a vaccine doses available later this month. So within the next couple of weeks, Arizona could get the first shipments of vaccine that's available, and they would start doing the vaccinations. Currently, there's 3 different pharmaceutical companies that are piloting and applying for approval to distribute the vaccine, and I believe all 3 of them require 2 doses approximately 4 weeks apart. So you would get one, and then you would wait 4 weeks, and then you have to come back and get the second dose. So now today they indicated it was probably going to start slow. I mean, just as far as the number of doses that we receive and how many people. But as that ramps up, then we would be getting more and more doses available. And it's encouraging to know that teachers are going to be in the first wave of that. This is from the Arizona dashboard that Health and Human Services puts out. This is the entire state. This is all counties. I know it's a little hard maybe to see on the screen. The green line basically is good. That means the infection rate is low. The yellow line is kind of the warning, and you can see the state started fairly close to the green line earlier, and it's just been going up rapidly, and now we're back up in the red statewide. The percent positivity, which in Arizona was down below 5%, is now back up to 11%. And this is also important to know. The data is current on the website now, but it's actually 2 weeks old. They update it. There's a 2-week lag in the data reporting, so the numbers are probably higher now than they were then due to the Thanksgiving holiday. This is specifically Navajo County. The first slide was all of Arizona. This is just Navajo County. Again, we're in the red for percent positivity, in the red for the number of cases per 100,000, and our hospitalizations, which were in the green for a long time, have now crept up into the yellow, and that's something that's being talked about statewide as hospital beds are filling up due to COVID. And you also have to remember it's flu season and cold season, and there's other things going around as well. So this is actually the Navajo County business dashboard. It just shows things in a little bit different way. But again, they're indicating that it's moderate risk to reopen, but again, everything's in the red. These two indicators are in the red category. So we did a survey. This is Tuesday, December 1st is the day I pulled the results down, but we did a survey over the last week and a half of parents. We sent it out online. It was through SurveyMonkey. So we had 107 individuals that completed this. It was geared towards parents and guardians. This is just how many students do you have in the schools. We had approximately 77 elementary students represented, 72 middle school, and 65 high school students represented in these survey responses. We did ask what chapter house or what area. Pinion and Whippoorwill are our two largest, so it would make sense that we had the most responses, but we did get responses from all the chapter areas that we serve. So when we asked, what is the preference for your children for third quarter? Return to the school campus, online, or the distance learning, or some kind of combination, and the online distance learning was by far the highest. Now the schools have been, this is just a survey link that went out to everybody, and those that responded. The schools have actually been directly calling all of the parents and asking them some of the same questions, and the results are very similar. There are not many that we contacted who feel comfortable sending their children back to campus at this point. We asked, are you aware that there's a policy that requires everyone to wear a mask while on campus? And most people are aware, so that's good. We asked about internet access at home. So we do have, it's easier, I guess, to see in this. We had about, of those that responded, we had about 5% that said they really don't have internet access at home, other than possibly a phone. We had another about 3% who had limited access, or they use, a family member or someone close. 30% said that they do have internet access, but it's kind of slow and unreliable. About 50% did indicate that they do have internet that is fast enough to do the schoolwork, and about 13% said that they actually had excellent service. And these mirror what the schools are finding. District-wide, based on the numbers of students participating, we have probably about 55 to 60% of students who are engaging online. And then those other students, they don't have access, so they are doing the packet learning. We asked what kinds of devices they have at home. We do have a few that say they don't have a device, but we do have lots of Chromebooks that can be signed out to students who need them. So we asked if we change our model to having schools open with children and teachers in the classrooms, would you enroll your child? And about 60% said no, they would not. Which goes along with the preference for the distance learning. We only had about 10% that said yes, and about 30% that said they were undecided at that time. If we continue with distance learning, that's what this question is. And 80% said yes, they would continue. only 4% or almost 5% said no, they would not. And again, about 15% were undecided. Then we asked the question about sports, because AIA was an NAIC, which is the middle school. We're looking at trying to compress all the athletics into second semester. So of those that responded, about 77% said no, they would not feel comfortable having their students participate. About 10% said yes, and 13 were undecided. Oops. So some current actions just to keep you up to date. Food service operations, I talked about that earlier. We're doing the summer feeding program. That waiver was extended, so we can do that into second semester. We're looking at the Meals on Wheels, having the bus go out and deliver, and then also having the drive-through service here. The current actions for athletics. I'm recommending to the board that we cancel the athletic season for 2020-2021. I believe Ganado Unified has already done that, and there are other districts that are looking at doing that. I think as far as athletics go, I'm not as concerned about the practices and the things that we would do on campus. I think there's ways to do that safely. What I'm very concerned about is with athletics comes travel. We go out to the other schools to compete, or the other schools come here. So now you're mixing students, and you really lose a lot of the control that you would have over that when you put travel into the mix. Not to mention the confined time on a school bus to get from one place to the other. Just a reminder, we have a waiver in place for the on-site services. Our on-site services waiver was approved until Friday, December 18th, which is the last day of our quarter and semester for first semester. So unless we apply for another waiver, then we would start to provide some on-site services on Monday, January 4th, which is our first day back after the winter break. And then just sort of a quick update of what on-site services would look like. This is part of Governor Ducey's executive order, is that yes, schools have the option to essentially close to students and do the online or distance learning, but that we're supposed to be offering some on-site services to students that need them. The waiver exempts us from that, and we are getting our waiver approved because Navajo Nation has the shelter stay-at-home orders in place, and that's what I use when I submit those waiver requests to the Department of Ed. It's important to note that on-site opportunities are not the same as being in the classroom. So this is more like a study hall kind of thing, or one-on-one situation. The on-site services is not, groups of students together in a classroom. And we would look at prioritizing our high-need students, such as special education, their IEPs, our EL students, and then if we have, I don't believe we currently have any officially foster care students, but we would also be looking at some of those that don't have internet or Wi-Fi connectivity at home, because we have many students who live in areas where it's just not available. Even if we provided them a hotspot, they can't connect because there's just no service in their area. So again, these would be the targeted populations: ESS, EL, internet access, and then tutoring for our Title I and McKinney-Vento, which is our homeless population. This is the process. We would identify students. There's an agreement that that we got from the trust, which is our insurance carrier. So those students, the parents would sign the agreement. And then we just have rooms. We picked the largest rooms, basically. So it'd be the elementary gym. At the time, the middle school was going to be at the high school because the roof construction was going on. The roof construction is complete, so that might move back to the middle school gym. And then the high school, the band room up there, would be the site for those services. And we've already set up desks. We put up partitions and dividers and are doing different things there already just to prepare should we need to do that. The support model just goes over participation, eligibility, and then the schedule. Basically, we would be open on the same bell schedule that we would be normally. Limitations, again, this isn't regular teacher-led instruction. We would not be providing transportation, so this would be either walking or drive-up service. And then that all students, again, if we reopen for on-site services, all students would go through a screening before they're allowed to enter the building, and that would be the temperature checks. We have those automated systems where you can just go up and you hold your wrist in front of it and it reads. But we also have the touchless, the infrared thermometers. Also, educating our students and their families and our staff who are sick to stay home. That is one of the big issues is if you're not feeling well, even if you haven't been tested or don't know that it's COVID or don't think you've been exposed, if you're not feeling well, don't come to campus because we don't want things to be spread. So in closing, my recommendation to the board based on all of that and the current information and data from Navajo Nation, from Navajo County and the state of Arizona is for the board to approve, again, scenario 3, all students distance learning until at least Friday, March 5th, which is the last day of third quarter. The next week after that is spring break. Or the board could, if they chose, just to decide to do it through the end of second semester, which would take us to Friday, May 14th. I believe that's what Ganado Unified has done. They've done the distance learning all the way through the end of the school year. Other districts are considering doing that, but I don't think they've actually decided yet that I've heard. I guess my recommendation to look at just third quarter is for 2 reasons. One, the vaccine, which if they do start doing that in the next couple of weeks, by March, if enough people are vaccinated for COVID, we may be able to reopen safely in March after spring break. And the other reason is with a new presidential administration coming in, a new Secretary of Education, there may be some new programs coming at the end of January for COVID related, additional funding or different guidance or flexibility. So I guess the more, I suppose, conservative approach is just to look at third quarter and to extend our distance learning plan through the end of third quarter. Again, cancellation of the athletic season just for safety. Other districts are talking about dropping out of that as well. And the more districts that drop out, the more likely it is we would have to travel farther to find someone to play. And then also asking the board for their direction on on-site services. If Navajo Nation allowed on-site services, should we apply for a waiver again, or should we begin to offer limited on-site services? So basically, those are my 3 recommendations to the governing board.
Thank you, Superintendent. Board members, do you have any discussion or comments to the superintendent on the distant learning, how you feel about that, or the hybrid learning, the hybrid model, and
Well,
on the campus?
Madam President, this is Board Member McCabe. I think I agree with Chris's presentation. I do agree with it because there is a vaccine, but the other question is, well, who's willing to take the vaccine? Who's willing to get the vaccine?
Yes.
And then the other thing is,
Board Member McCabe, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Madam Chair. I think we need to establish a motion first, and then we can have the second and then the discussion. Sorry.
Okay,
I'll go ahead and motion to approve what was presented, to stay on distant learning up to, for third quarter, and to have Chris apply for another waiver from ADE. Also, the cancellation of sports season for remainder of the school year.
okay,
Madam Chair, I'll go ahead and second Board Member McCabe's motion.
okay.
Um, yes, that's my motion. As I was saying, I do agree with everything that was said. I look at the uncontrollable spread in our community and surrounding communities.
Yes.
And I also take into consideration just this week how many elderly people we have lost, how many community members we're losing to this monster. I agree with how Jonathan has stated this as a monster. So with that, even with the sports, I look at the NFL. You look at teams catching it, and it's all due to carelessness.
Mhm.
And these are supposed to be professionals. So with that said, I'm gonna stand by with this, and I'm glad that you did survey the parents, and I'm glad that the parents that responded. And I think once we get the vaccine, we'll see how it goes, and come after spring break or before spring break, if things look pretty good, then this will be put back in front of us to decide again for fourth quarter. So that's all I got to say on this.
Okay, that's good. Thank you, Tommy. And thank you, Martin. So there is a motion and second to approve the recommendation of the superintendent.
Madam Chair,
Uh-huh.
I have a few questions for Chris. Number one, was there any questions asked to the parents or guardians of these students? How many of them use the internet on the buses when the buses go out?
No, that was not a question on the survey. We do have some counts for that, we can get that. I can tell you it has dropped off recently because of the cold weather, but we do have some counts of who's been coming. But that was not a survey question, no. The bus drivers have been tallying and stuff.
Okay, based on that, have the parents or guardians informed the bus drivers of if it's useful or not? Do you know?
That I do not know. I would have to find out. I know the ones that come sit there for quite some time. We had one family who actually would bring a tent canopy and set it up, and they brought their own table, and they would sit there and they would do things. But again, that was earlier in the fall. We do have others who drive up and on campus and use the guest Wi-Fi network here on campus. But again, that has dropped off in the last few weeks. So it works well. But no, I don't have that particular information, but we can gather that.
Okay, all right then. My next question is, of these students, how many of them, when they're at home online, how many do we know? How many of the parents or guardians are actually home with them? Or is there any parent or someone over the age of 18 home with them to watch them to make sure that they are doing their work? And in addition to that question, do those individuals that are home with the students, do they understand the homework or do they understand the lesson that's being taught so that they can help their child with the instruction?
As far as the first part of your question, the students are online. We don't always see or talk to the parents, so that would be something we would have to specifically ask. The students, or for those that are online, is your parent there? And that is information we can gather going forward. As far as do parents understand? That is something that I know a lot of the parents struggle with. They do not understand, especially as you get higher in the grade levels, higher in the content. Algebra, high school math and science, it becomes more difficult. I know at the middle school, well, at all three schools, teachers are doing virtual tutoring sessions. They are available by phone for those that don't have internet. But that has been a challenge, is the parents or grandparents, the caregiver who is at home doesn't necessarily understand all of the work that's being sent as far as helping their child. The other challenge has been, in some cases, there's a parent or grandparent home with many children all trying to do things at once. So it's not one-on-one. We may have a grandma or a grandpa or a parent that has 4 elementary age kids all trying to do work at the same time, which has also been a challenge.
Okay. And another question I have is, I'm not sure if you, as being the superintendent, if you may have received any complaints or concerns from parents, or if any staff or principals have addressed this concern with you. Are the teachers, do they have consistency or transparency from their classroom to the parents? Do they have, are they open to emails, phone calls, like late in the evenings, like around this time? Because now is probably the time when the kids are home with their parents and parents may have questions. Is there any concerns with that?
I don't think so, but not that have reached me. I know the expectation is that those teachers, they're on a schedule as far as their live lessons for Google or Zoom, like we're doing here. There's a schedule when those all happen. When they're not doing their live sessions, then they are calling, emailing, texting, responding. I can't speak for all teachers. I know we have several teachers who do respond to texts and phone calls, emails, late into the evenings and on weekends. We probably have some that do not, but that is, for the most part, teachers have given their contact information to the students and the parents, so they do have it. As far as getting complaints about not responding, I have not received any. The only real complaints that I've received, well, one was a concern because we've had some days where some of the internet service around the community is very slow and students couldn't get on. I've had a few concerns about just absences and checking in and missing classes. And then the other concern I've had, and we are working with the principals and the teachers, is that some parents are saying there's just too much work. much, especially the packet students, that there's just a lot coming home for the kids to do, and that maybe it's too much. So we are evaluating that. So I guess to answer your question, I'm not aware of it. I know we do have teachers who are doing, evenings and weekends calls and sessions, but I would also imagine we have some that probably are not.
Okay. And then another question, you did kind of bring this up in your presentation. The SPED students who need the one-on-one services to meet their service hours that's identified in their IEPs, how are we servicing those students?
So even though we had a waiver with ADE, Dale O'Donnell, who is our ESS director, and the special education teachers were reviewing student IEPs. And if there were students who needed services that could not be done online, or the student didn't have online, even though we had a waiver, we were arranging with the parents to have those students come in one-on-one. They didn't go into the school buildings, but they came into the special services building across from the boardroom.
Correct.
To the conference room over there, and teachers would meet them there, and they would do different services. If it was related services like OT or speech or PT, anything that couldn't be done online, they would schedule individual times for them to come in, even with the waiver. Now, for the last 3 weeks, with the shelter-in-place order, Doty and Navajo Nation were pretty clear they wanted that to stop. So for the last 3 weeks, we have not been bringing students in to do that. We're still working with them online or by phone, however we can. And then we document if there are services that can't be provided for special education, we document that. And then once we can, I don't want to say reopen, but once we can start bringing students maybe individually back on campus, then they get compensatory education. So they'll make the time that they missed. So it's not like they're just out. That, if there's services that can't be provided, we're documenting that. And then as soon as we can provide those services, we'll provide the services going forward, but we'll also make up the services that they missed.
Okay. And my final question is a three-part. How will we know? Okay, let's say like in the fall, in the spring, according to Mr. Board Member McCabe's motion, we're going to go ahead and continue with distance learning through the end of, or through March. So when we come back for the fourth quarter, how will we know which staff have received vaccination? And then the second is, as an employer or as the district, can we require staff to get vaccinated upon returning? And then the last part of that question is, for the students, are we gonna require students to get vaccinated as well? And if so, how, same part of the first question, how will we know which students have received the vaccination?
Very good questions. That actually came up in the governor's.
Through immunization cards.
It came up through the governor's press conference today. He was actually asked a question about can employers require employees to be vaccinated, and there really wasn't an answer. Basically, as far as employees go, that's one I'm going to have to get back to you on and ask Patrice how we would, our legal counsel, if we can actually require that. I think we can, if it goes through the board and it actually becomes part of policy. There are other immunizations that staff are required to have, and we have to show proof of that. And we have those on file in HR. Those are part of our personnel health records. But I also know, based on conversations with IHS and Pinion Clinic, they came in early November and ran a flu clinic and vaccinated all of our staff for the influenza, and they were going to use that same model to vaccinate all of our staff for COVID when it becomes available. So there won't be any issue with staff members being able to receive it, But your question is if somebody refused to do it. So that I'm gonna have to find out from our attorney. I mean, we can require documentation to be submitted for that, for staff. Now, for students, that was also a question that has come up before. Would COVID be added to the list of required immunizations? Because we have, I mean, right now, students cannot attend school legally in the state of Arizona if they haven't met all their vaccination requirements up through. The state has not indicated that they are going to add COVID vaccine to that list. Again, the district could, require that and ask the parents to provide that documentation, because we do get that from most of our staff, or not staff, most of our parents go over to Pinion Clinic and then they get an updated immunization record that they submit every year. So getting the documentation wouldn't be difficult, but again, it goes back to that question of can we require it?
Yeah.
If the state requires it, then obviously we can require it. I guess my question to the attorney would be, is that something the district can put in place if the state didn't require it? So I mean, I've written that down and I will definitely find out and get back to the board on that one.
Okay, and then I guess as in addition to that, to the last part of my question is, since we're saying that teachers are considered essential and they're going to be part of the first ones to get the vaccination, students need the education too. And we fear the safety of our students, just like you showed in your presentation there, that the spread can come from students to staff and likewise staff to students. Did they say anything about if students will be one of the first ones to get vaccinated too?
They did not. The governor did not today. The CDC, the national recommendation was that first responders, healthcare professionals, first responders would be in the first wave to get it.
Mm-hmm.
The state of Arizona is including teachers and educators in that. They didn't yet really give much of a plan as to how, I guess, the general public, students and just the general public would be able to get vaccinated. Dr. Christ from Arizona Department of Health said basically, once they're approved, the 3 pharmaceutical companies will be manufacturing the vaccines as quickly as they can. All 50 states will get allocations based on population, and they'll get it out in stages. And it's going to be, they were saying it could be months before, we really get everyone vaccinated. So,
Okay. All right, then. Those are my questions. Thank you, Chris. I have no other questions.
All right.
Thank you, Mark. That was a good question about can we require? That was not something I had thought about because I'm not an anti-vax person. So, I mean, if it's shown to be safe, I'll definitely line up and do it because I'm tired of all this and really want it to be over. But
exactly.
but we do have people that are very, well, they don't trust or they just don't believe in vaccination. So that is a good point, and I will follow up and get back to you on that one.
Yeah, there's a lot of issues on the first vaccine. Okay, the motion is open to
Aye.
all in favor?
Gary,
Board member Little, I vote yes.
Gary, you're on mute. Did you vote yes? Or
Yes.
okay. So it's 4-0.
All in favor, 0 opposed, motion is carried. Then next is 6.2, Presentation and possible action to approve stipends to be paid to Marlon McLaughlin, Generita Yazzie, and Jonathan Allen. I'm sorry. Been talking about Jonathan Nez a lot. For additional duties and responsibility assigned while acting administrators for other departments during school year 2021. It states Martin McLaughlin, acting security director, Generita Yazzie, acting Pinion primary, elementary principal, Jonathan Allen, acting transportation director.
Madam President, members of the board, as you know, we've had a few key vacancies this year, and we've had other administrators covering in those departments, taking on those additional responsibilities. It's been customary in the past that when someone was assigned an additional duty, that there was an extra duty stipend for that. We've done it with principals if there was, no assistant or they had to cover athletics. We've done it in other departments. So as this semester draws to a close, and it looks like, well, pending board approval, we'll have an elementary principal approved at this meeting, and that we have strong candidates that we're interviewing and making a selection on security and transportation, that the extra duty assignments will most likely be ending here at the end of December, because we would have the new people on board, assuming they, accept the contract offers. Again, it's been customary that we've done this. The amount that I included in the agenda item was the $1,000 a month. Again, that has been the customary amount that previous boards and previous superintendents had recommended, so I just left it at that. So in Mr. McLaughlin's case, it would be July 1 through the permanent hire of the security director, which hopefully would be by the end of this month. Generita Yazzie would be, she was assigned on September 1st through the permanent hire of the elementary principal. And then Jonathan Allen was assigned July 1 after Mr. Eric Denny's retirement. And again, we're hoping that person will be on board by January. So I'm respectfully requesting that the governing board consider these additional duty stipends. I know in all three cases, Mr. McLaughlin, Mr. Allen, and Mrs. Yazzie have, they're doing their regular job, plus they're providing supervision and oversight in these other areas, which is creating additional time and additional duties and responsibilities, and being administrative and exempt. They don't qualify for overtime. So this isn't a situation where extra hours just get them extra pay. They're salaried, so this would be basically an extra duty stipend.
Board member? Motion, second.
Madam Chair, I can't hear what you're saying. I'm sorry.
Oh, she's just, Bessie's just asking, is there a motion or a second on this item?
I guess for discussion purposes, I'll go ahead and make a motion, but my motion is to my motion is to approve the as presented, Ms. Yazzie and Mr. Allen from July 1, and Mr. McLaughlin to the time when the board approved the position to be advertised for the security director's position, which was, I think, a month ago. So that would be,
I think it was the October board meeting. Was it the October board meeting that was approved?
I thought it was approved in November. It may have been October then.
Joyce can answer.
Joyce is saying it was approved and we advertised starting at the October.
Okay, so for the 3 months then, October, November, December. That's my motion. And then I'd like to have discussion after that, please.
Okay, is there a second?
Is there a second? I don't know if you could hear Betsy or not, but she's having audio problems on her laptop, but she's asking if there's a second to Mark's motion.
I'll second on that.
Second by Mary. Okay, discussion?
Mr. Oscar, do these people have to be served executive session notices to be discussed?
Not in open session, no.
Okay. All right, so my question is on the security position. I thought Mr. McLaughlin was already overseeing security, and like I said, I don't know why we're paying him from July 1 when we didn't even have a security director position just up until October when that position was approved by the board with the position description and approved for advertisement. So in essence, we didn't even have a director of security position.
Well, that is correct. I guess, went back to July 1 just because he'd been doing the security oversight from July 1, but you're correct. The position, the actual job description and position wasn't until October 5th, 4th? October 14. The October board meeting was October 14. So, I mean, you are correct on that respect. I just did the July 1 because he had been covering from July 1 and been overseeing, but you are correct in your timeline as well.
Okay, I have no other questions.
Okay. So, Superintendent, are you saying still July 1? What's the recommendation on this?
Well, the motion,
Madam Chair, although the superintendent may be making his recommendation and it's on paper to July 1, my motion was from October to until the time Director for Security is appointed. That's specifically for Mr. McLaughlin. And then for Ms. Yazzie is from the time she was appointed to the position, I believe it was September, up until, I guess, this evening when we hopefully approve a principal. And then same way with Mr. Allen from July 1 up until the time when we, I guess, hire a transportation director.
Okay. And the second is me. So
Yeah.
I'll call for the question. All those in favor, as motion? Say aye.
This is Board Member Little. I vote yes.
I will have to recuse myself. One thing on there. The vote.
I vote yes on that.
Tommy, go ahead and run the meeting, this one, and then the next one.
I respectfully vote yes, but I still think that it still needs to be considered, but I vote yes.
Okay.
So it's 3-0-0 because Bessie recused herself. So in this particular one, it would be 3-0-0.
You can run the.
Tommy, Bessie says she's going to recuse herself on the next one also. So can you do that item? Or I can read it too if you want me to and explain it.
Yes, go ahead and read it.
Board members, 6.3 is discussion and possible action to approve cellular phone stipends for Myra McLaughlin, Facility Director, Jonathan Allen, Business Manager, Farrah Slim, Chief Technology Officer, and Joyce Kasarik, Human Resources Director, in the amount of $600 for school year 2020-2021 back to July 1 of 2020. In the past, I know Mr. McLaughlin, and I'm not sure if Farrah Slim did or not, had received cellular phone stipends. It's not actually in their contract, so it is an additional stipend that they would be paid. What some districts do for district admin positions, those people that are basically considered to be on call all the time, that they're either the district purchases a cell phone and a cell phone plan and gives them the phone to use for official business, or they provide a stipend to those individuals to just use their regular phone and compensate for the data and like text, voice, data usage that they use. Many years ago, actually before I was superintendent, the district used to do phones in that way. There were phones that were purchased and we had cell phone plans. It was decided at that time to basically discontinue that, to not have the district actually have cell phones and cell phone plans. We do currently have 2 cell phones in the district that the security officers on duty carry, so they can be contacted even when they're out on patrol. But those are the only cell phones the district actually has or pays for. The superintendent has a cell phone allowance or stipend in the contract, but these other individuals do not. So especially now with the distance aspect and the fact that we have so many people working off campus or basically being on call to come in and do things at strange, times on evenings and weekends, that we would, that the board consider providing cell phone stipends to these district level administrators. And then if the board does go approve this, then when the transportation director and the security director are approved, then that would be part of the motion as well. Again, it wouldn't be part of their contract, it would just be an extra duty stipend, but we would do that for them as well, for the district level administrators.
I'll go ahead and motion to approve the stipends.
I'll second that motion.
Yeah, don't forget, Tommy, you're running this item because Bessie recused herself, so she's not voting.
Mr. Oscar, I have a question.
Uh-huh.
I know you mentioned, and I was an employee at the time with the district too, that, that stipend was included in our contracts, but you clarified that because that was going to be my question. I thought this was already included in their contracts. But well, rather than a question, maybe I would recommend 700, because if we do 600 divided by 12, that's $50 a month. And nowadays with the plans, the cell phone plans with data, unlimited calls, texts, and data, it's up around $70 per phone. So I would recommend to the motioning party to maybe reconsider and increase that to $700. And that's divided into 12 months, and that's about $58 a month, which kind of covers
Yeah, the six,
that.
I just, it's what it was in the past, so I just pulled that
Yeah.
and used it again, but you're correct. The cost of things has increased, so if the motioning party is agreeable to that, it could be 700. The 600 was just what it had been previously.
Yeah.
I agree also.
I'd like to,
Go ahead, Gary.
separate motion.
You want to make a substitute motion?
Yes.
Okay,
My motion is to approve what is requested, but in the amount of $1,200 a year. That'll be $100 a month.
motioning to approve, but just to change the amount.
So Gary, your motion is to approve the stipend amount from 600 to 1,200 for the
Yes,
entire year?
That'll be $100 a month.
Okay.
Yes.
I kind of agree with you, but you also need to understand, Mr. Grandson, that the phone, it's not a school phone, it's also their personal phone. Maybe if the school owned the phone and the work was strictly for school business, then yes, I'd understand. But it seems that we're also covering their personal bill when they're accepting personal phone calls, they're doing personal text messages. They're basically kind of using that phone for their own personal use. But we're also asking them as an administrator to also use the phone for school business related purposes too. Respectfully, I'm saying that to you, Mr. Grandson.
Okay, I understand.
So,
So do you withdraw your substitute motion then? Or,
Yes, I'll withdraw my motion.
okay, so just to recap then, we had a motion and a second at the 600, but then Mr. Board Member Mark Little recommended 700 instead of 600. The motioning party agreed. So the motion in the second now would be to approve these individuals, but with $700 a month instead of $600 a month for their cell phone stipend. Is that correct? I mean, a year.
Mr. Board Member McCabe,
yeah,
in your motion, can you restate the motion? And if you agree with my recommendation at 700, can you also state that we use that 700, I guess, as a standard stipend for our administrators moving forward? That way, because Chris, I understand, yes, he did use the 600 and that was in place at the time when I was there too. So I guess if we say, moving forward from this day forward, we can use 700.
Okay, I'll go ahead and restate my motion. Motion to approve cell phone stipend for the individuals listed in the amount of $700 a year, and to have that go forward from here for any additional administrators.
Okay, I second that motion.
There's a motion and a second. Motion by Board Member McCabe, second by Board Member Little. Call for the question. All those in favor say aye.
Board Member Little, I vote yes.
Aye.
I vote yes, 3-0-0. Motion carries.
So Madam President, that item's done now, so you don't need to recuse yourself anymore.
Okay,
Next would be 7, which is executive session, and that is only if the board members feel that there is a need to go into executive session for 8.1, 8.2, or 8.3. 8.1 is the hire of a bus driver. 8.2 is the hire of a first grade teacher, and 8.3 is the hire of an elementary principal.
board members, do we go one by one or lump them, and if there's no questions about these individuals? There's a 8.1 is a bus driver named Miss Josanna, yellow hair, grade 4, step 1, $14.50 an hour.
Board Member McKay would like to motion to approve 8.1 as presented at
Okay,
$14.50 an hour.
Board Member Little, I'll second that motion.
there's a second to the motion. Any discussion? If none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Board Member Little, I vote yes.
Aye.
4 in favor. We vote for this motion is carried. And then if not, want to go to the section or go to motion is second this one. S. James, Bachelor of Arts, step 1, 35,000. Minnesota, first grade teacher.
Yeah, the 45,000 would be for the 4 years, so since she's starting now, it would actually be prorated for the 10 years.
Prorated, correct. Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion. This is Board Member Little. I'd like to make a motion to approve 8.2 for Miss James as the teacher, first grade teacher, BA step 1 at 45,000, knowing that this will be a prorated amount.
Okay, yes. Is there a second?
I'll go in second.
No, that was Tommy.
Oh, is it Tom?
Yeah, I believe that was Tommy.
Okay. Any questions?
No questions.
No question, all those in favor.
Board Member Little, I vote yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
They all, yes, they all voted yes. Uh-huh.
All 14 opposed. Next item is principal. We have a principal recommendation. Her name is Rosefina. Hold on, say it right. Rosefina South. At $75,950 annual. She has a Doctor of Philosophy, who's probably Dr. Sales, step forward.
And just to remind the governing board, Dr. Rosafina Sells, the board has offered the position to her earlier, and right at the time, the board approved her and issued or offered her the contract. She had a family emergency, which prevented her from coming, so she had to decline the offer at that time. The board rescinded the contract offer. She contacted us about a week ago, 2 weeks ago, something like that, basically saying that that issue had been, I guess, resolved as best it can be resolved, and she was still available, and the position is still open. So we would like to ask the board to, I guess, approve her again for the position.
Joyce is still interested. Board members? Okay. We'll go into item.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you again, Madam Chair.
Basically, Board President Allen is just asking, is there a motion and a second for this? Is there a need to go into executive session for this, or basically, what's the board's?
If there is a need to go into executive session, was she served her notice?
Yeah, she signed it.
Okay.
Okay.
Madam Chair, if there's no need to go into executive session, I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the hire of Dr. Sells as the elementary school principal
Okay.
for school year 2020-2021.
Okay. There's second? If there's no second, I'll second it. I shouldn't have. You hear?
Madam Chair, is there a second?
I second the motion.
Okay, I have a question now since it's open for discussion. Sorry to interrupt you, Madam Chair. But my question is to Mr. Osgard. I believe at the time when we approved Dr. Sells, didn't we approve her at, I think, like 80,000?
I think she declined that offer.
What? Just one sec, Joyce. Do you have the?
Joyce is in the room. She'll look it up.
This amount is the placement schedule. Joyce is bringing me the folder here. Well, they won't be able to hear you. I just need to see what the.
She was approved for 80,400.
The June 10th. Oh, well, actually, it was June 3rd was the board meeting. Approved to offer you an employment contract for school year 2021 as principal at Pinion Elementary School. The approved salary is 80,400 MA plus 48 step 4.
Okay. Is there a reason why it got lowered back down to 75?
Well, no, but that's, well, no, but what's the actual contract amount? Would it be the 80?
72. The one that I have recommended as of now. Regular placement, which is 75,950 based on the admin.
So based on the principal, CIA director, ESS director salary schedule, The MA plus 48 EDD PhD level at step 4 is the 75,950. I think when the board did the 80,400, that was a recommendation by the board, but it was off of the schedule. So we, again, just recommended what was on the salary schedule. If the board would like to do the 80,400 that was offered last time, it just needs to be motioned that way.
Mr. Oscar?
Can I say
Mr.
something?
Uh,
Yeah, go ahead, Board Member McCabe.
With all due respect, we've already offered that amount. This is just my opinion. We've already offered that amount. The person declined. I understand the circumstances that were at the time, but we've bent over backwards for the individual the first time. With all due respect, can we just offer her what is being offered right now and see how she does from here to the end of the school year and see what is recommended at that time if the contract is to be renewed?
Okay. Yeah,
And
that sounds
And this
fair.
and this
But,
does go in as a prorate, right?
yeah, it'll be prorated as well. Okay, so if the salary schedule says MA and PhD, I think PhD should be in a separate level rather than combined with the MA.
Well, that
I
could be
guess that,
the board recommends for next contract year.
yeah,
Has it and add another column
correct.
over.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. And sorry to interrupt you, Mr. Oscar, but yeah, we're gonna, because that salary schedule is already approved for this school year. So I guess next school year, we're gonna have to add a column for PhD as a separate column. So,
Okay, so, we go ahead and, approve at the current motion, $75,950.
okay,
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so I'll go ahead and call for the question. To hire the elementary principal for school year 2020-2021, Rosefina Sales at $75,950 and will be prorated. That's the way I understand. Okay.
Mhm.
All those in favor say aye.
Board Member Little, I vote yes.
Okay. One yes.
Board Member McCabe respectfully voting yes.
I vote yes too. Harry?
Yes,
Four in favor, zero opposed, none abstaining, motion is carried. Thank you. It's the end of the board meeting. I need to do. Or need discussion on it says closing items.
Yeah.
Madam Chair and Mr. Oscar, if I may, before we adjourn, I just want to say thank you to Bessie for her dedication and her service to the district. Unfortunately, after this month, well, actually, maybe she might be still with us for the month of January, but she'll be stepping down from the board. So I just wanted to say thank you for your service to the district, to the students, the staff, and also to the community.
Okay, thank you. I
Yes,
think we have a special meeting, one more meeting.
yeah, we do, because we have, yeah, yes, as superintendent, I would very much like to thank Board President Allen and also Board Member Gary Grandson, who's
Oh, yeah.
uh, for their service. Board member is an unpaid position. It's often
Mhm.
thankless position, and you get, as an elected official, you kind of get an earful sometimes. So it's wonderful that people step up and actually take on that challenge.
Yes, that's so true. I'm sorry. I totally forgot Mr. Grandson too. Yes, thank you for your service and your, wanting to be on the board. As Mr. Osgard mentioned, it's all voluntary. It's not a paid position. So thank you.
Okay.
All right, thank you all. It was good working with you all.
So
Maybe somewhere down the road, path will cross again.
we'll go ahead. I think we're really trying to improve the school. And I wish the next board could really continue.
Yeah, well, if we come up with, we have another interview, like I'd mentioned, for security director and then the transportation director. So we may try to get another special meeting in before the Christmas winter break, just so we could get them approved and get them started right away in January. So we will, Tanya or I will reach out to you and schedule that item.
Okay.
So,
What day is good is, December, I was just discussing, December 15th and 16th. I'll be already on vacation.
December 15th is the Tuesday and December 16th is the Wednesday. To schedule a special meeting to just do the personnel items if we have new hires, so we can get them started right away in January.
Oh, that's fine, but January 15th, March.
Well, this isn't actually an agenda item, so we just need to, we can reach out to the board and schedule, but please check your calendar for those dates, the 15th or the 16th.
Okay.
And then we'll schedule a special meeting on either the 15th or 16th if board members are available.
You don't want to schedule it now? So it's on our calendar?
Well, I think it would depend on the interview. Didn't you say you still have one interview to do for the security director, Chris?
Yes, we're interviewing someone tomorrow afternoon.
Oh, okay. Then December 15th, you're recommending, you said?
Either the 15th or the 16th.
I'm open on both days.
Gary, what did you say? I couldn't hear you. I'm sorry.
15th is good.
The 15th? Tommy, does that?
Okay.
Yeah, I'm open.
Okay, then, well, yeah, we're all in lockdown basically, so we shouldn't be going anywhere. So we'll schedule a special meeting then for the Tuesday, the 15th.
Okay.
Sounds good. Okay. So, Mark, I
Okay.
didn't send it.
We need a motion to adjourn because we're way off the agenda here.
I'm sorry.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second.
All those in favor of adjourning, say aye.
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 4 in favor, 0 opposed. Okay, take care of yourselves.
Thank you, board
Safe
members.
drive this evening. At home, I'm the one that's driving.
Stay warm, stay safe, wear your mask. Thank you, members of the public who are with us, and I will be ending the live stream and ending the meeting here. So thank you all.